this.
We are live with the absolutely, like, truly profound honor to have this woman with us. Dechen Farrow is extraordinary. She has been harvesting pearls from her 30 years experience practicing Vajrayana Tantra and 20 years working with many clients as an intuitive healer, holistic nutritionist, and she integrates into her offerings her experience with traditional Chinese medicine, sound therapies, yogis, yoga, Pilates, and coaching. She's completed her RTT hypnotherapy, and she is just all about grounding in the light and the bliss for awakening humanity to the truth of its sovereign divinity. And I'm just so happy to have her here, because when I'm around, no, honestly, I had like a dark, when I first got back from Mexico and I was in Colorado, I had like, it was a tough time, you know, it was like flying back, losing everything. And I'm suddenly living, you know, was in my sister's basement for a week. And I had this moment where I was just thinking of my gratitudes. And this woman here came up because she is just anchoring in so much positive energy. And when I hang out with her, it's for real. This woman is for real. So tell us, Dechen, tell us a little about your experience of 30 years in practicing and studying Vajrayana Tantra.
Thank you, Shezza. And first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to be on this conversation. I've been enjoying and learning so much from everybody's shares and expertise. And I was just telling you a minute ago, and I mean it, that everybody is already so embodied in their gifts and what they're offering. I was thinking, what can I really add to this pot? And there are a few pearls that perhaps I can contribute to get everyone on the same page of what are we doing here? Why are we really diving? What is magnetizing us to the essence of Tantra in the first place? And that kind of ties into my life story. I thought I would clarify a few of the main points about Vajrayana Buddhism in comparison to all the other vehicles of Buddhism. Vajrayana, Vajra means indestructible, like a diamond. Like it's the path of actualizing and embodying the diamond light vehicle. And yana means vehicle. And just in a contrast to the other kinds of Tibetan Buddhism, for example, like the Dalai Lama's path, for example, is not Vajrayana, and it's more of a monastic tradition. So the Dalai Lama is the head of he's kind of like he was always the political figurehead, the one whose face came forward to deal with worldly matters. But his whole like vehicle is mostly monastic. And so what's really cool about the Vajrayana, which is really one of the most prevalent paths that became available in the United States, is that it's a yogic tantric vehicle for householders. And the whole premise of Vajrayana is bringing all of the passions to the path of awakening. So it's using desire and the passions to the fullest in order to become the fuel for your own liberation. And it's a path of self-liberation. And whereas, you know, the monastic traditions of Buddhism are primarily abstaining and maybe even you could say suppressing and avoiding the feeling of all the feelings in order to not get caught up and distracted and aim straight for enlightenment and liberation. So Vajrayana is the vehicle of embracing all of the passions. And there is sexual tantra, really sacred sexual tantric practices in Vajrayana. But usually you cultivate your own ability to be in your activated magnetic feminine embodiment, and you cultivate that, and then if you even is necessary, you know, you might engage with a consort in the tantric practices. But again, they're not totally all necessary, and in some ways they're saved for later, because the whole idea is to reduce the ego enough that you don't accidentally catch yourself up in, you know, any further building of ego, like, because having mastery to that degree over all of your channels and your sexuality and everything, you could slip into more ego and build more ego, and that's not the point. And so yeah, so that's a little background about,
I love it, but
why we're bringing Vajrayana here. Yeah.
And just in a really like practical, to me, a practical modern take on this is that that's what the modern day kind of spiritual, that's how I see myself. It's like, I haven't gone and done, like, been in a cave. I've spent almost no time in ashram, very little time in ashrams, but it's like life, your own unique path is the tantric path of awakening. So it's allowing, it's like the householder. So it's like everything is every moment is a moment to remember that, what did you say? Indestructible light that we are.
Yes. Yes. And that's the whole point, you know. A little bit of my story is I was born in I was born in California, and in a very emotionally unavailable, non-spiritual family. Although I've always been very, very spiritual. And so as I worked my way through the PTSD of my own childhood, and which, by the way, I kind of made me really not embodied, not grounded in my body at all. And that led me on my own healing journey, which brought me deep into the healing field, especially of nutrition. And which is also a really relevant piece of the conversation.
So relevant.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of reasons why we don't want to be in our bodies. Our nervous systems can be pretty jacked up. And then when I first met the Dharma, I really, really resonated with the truth of it. So I dove into that very deeply. And what my takeaway is from it all is that it's all about bringing the light of our own divinity into our human embodiment. And the Tibetans call our body the precious human body, because it contains all of the spiritual technology for us to self-activate our diamond light body of bliss.
Tell us about the diamond light body of bliss.
Okay.
Because it sounds awesome.
Right. And actually it's our divine birthright. It's our divine inheritance, just like being ecstatically alive and anchoring the energy of bliss and rapture onto the planet. You know, that's all part of the conversation about activating our light body. And the Tibetans call it the diamond light body of bliss. And that is really what the Tantra aspect is about. And So, through the practice of again and again downloading, and I like the word downloading because it's kind of like gives you this idea that it's always here for us. But when we say yes and we say, I am downloading my divine wisdom, light body, the divine and omniscient aspect of ourself. So it right away, it empowers us all to know that no matter what we've been through in our human experience, we all have this higher self, higher omniscient, already enlightened aspect of our being. And that we can invoke and download this into our physical human body. And that's what triggers the whole cascade of awakening within the body in one lifetime, in this lifetime.
So we already are enlightened. We already are that. And it's just saying yes in every moment to that and continuously remembering that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. That is like the real basics of Tantra.
Right.
Yeah. So tell us about the nutritional aspect, because you also bring through, and I think it is so important. I have to say, I know a lot of spiritual and even tantric people who are not into health. And this is permissible in Tantra, actually, because Tantra just says, just do your thing in some ways. It's not talking about health. But for me, I am just like, to me, it's like, this is our body. And if this is the precious human body, then everything is starts with us caring deeply, nourishing our body.
Yes, I'm so glad you asked about that, because that is a big part of my own journey and experience, is that, first of all, I feel it's really important to really consider our intentions and our real why. Why are we pursuing a tantric vehicle or a spiritual vehicle of any sort? And because that sets us up to look at what our alignments are, because we can always at any moment use our free will choice to elevate our highest alignments for why we're doing anything in our human lifetime, in our body. And the point is that, and just what I mean by that is that, for all the many reasons we might be coming to Tantra, for the experience, for the pleasure, for cultivating and harvesting the energy, for transmuting that energy into health, or for transmuting that energy to bless all of life, or to anchor the highest vibration and light of divinity onto the planet. There's so many levels of reasons why we might be practicing, but we can always dedicate our free will choice to aim it for the highest and best intentions. And so the thing is that I loved that conversation a bit ago about the nervous system, because we are basically nervous systems. And if our nervous system is really like jacked up on a lot of, where we get into a place where we don't feel comfortable to relax and be, we can't finally relax into what is the main point, is allowing our electromagnetic circuitries to anchor and ground onto the planet and connect with the earth circuitry, because Mother Earth is a huge part of our human embodiment, and there's so much that we can cultivate and receive from being anchored and grounded to the planet that will really help strengthen our journey and how we navigate while we're in a body on the planet. And so there's a lot of things that, like, say we don't care that much about what we put in our body. The thing is that our DNA is what gets activated when we download our higher self into our human body. And what happens is our higher self knows perfectly how to run the operating systems of our body and our DNA. But a lot of the chemicals and metals and poisons and pollutions and stuff that's in the food supply actually has the ability to block the healthy signaling of DNA and also the healthy electromagnetic circuitries of the body. Does that make sense? Because that's the number one reason why we would want to put into our body the things that support a healthy grounded nervous system and a healthy electromagnetic auric field.
I'm 100% with you. And just, I love Dechen because she has like big words, and like, and I'm like, I like to bring them into like super just the human. To me, it's just like, you are what you eat, and you are what you put in your body. And these things block us if we're really, you know, bringing that super empowered, fully alive, just cosmic energy of the entire universe, that loving presence into our bodies. It's going to be easier if our bodies are in good health and and are alive, and they're being nourished, and it's a more it's a home, and we feel good. And when we feel good, we want to be in our bodies. When we, you know, people who aren't feeling good in their bodies don't want to be in there. And what we really need is embodiment.
Right. Thanks. Yes. We really, if your body is screaming because of so much dissonance and incoherence and struggle to just be in a homeostasis, in a balanced state, we really, it's very hard to talk about, well, let's just relax our energy and our focus and our awareness in our pleasure center. Let's cultivate this energy of bliss in our body, because we're distracted by all of the discomfort.
Yeah. So what are some processes? I know that you have some incredible processes around just very simply being in our body and bringing that essence into our bodies.
So that is exactly what is the culmination of all my years of studying in Vajrayana, is that you don't have to, if you never get a chance to, I highly recommend, if you feel an attraction to the path of Vajrayana, check it out, because it's an infallible blueprint for self-awakening. But really the main essence is anybody can begin by cultivating the ability to remain with presence within the body. And my favorite way to do that is to come back again and again to my yoni and to the pleasure centers within my body, and maintain my awareness there for longer and longer and longer periods of time, no matter what else is going on. So even while we're engaging in a conversation or doing things, we're still aware of this pleasant, glowing energy within our own body. And you know, it doesn't have to be in your pleasure centers. It can start in the tips of your fingers, and just being aware of the tips of your fingers for a moment or two, they start to light up and they start to tingle, and then you can play around and you can bring that energy to your feet and you can play around with moving that energy around. And then, you know, bring it to your root chakra and your sacral chakra, your yoni and your dorje, as we call it. In Tibetan, we call it the pema and the dorje. But then if you get to, so what happens when you spend more and more time present within your body is you literally start to build more neural pathways in your brain to be able to, like, you gain more real estate in your nervous system to be able to be in your body and aware of your whole entire body at once for, you know, longer and longer and longer periods of time. And if you just do that for 21 days, you build the new neural pathways to do it. And so that energy that lights up, that is bliss. And I loved what was said in the beginning about how, I think Erin said, bliss is a gradual expansion of orgasm. I'm sorry if I messed that up, but, and also Ava Clay was talking about that, how, you know, dial the orgasm down to a level that you can sustain. And in fact, you can trust your own higher self to dial it to that perfect level.
Right. Now I want to talk about if somebody is in, because it gets easier and easier and easier as your nervous system relaxes and you understand the vibration of relaxation and embodiment. But what if someone is really jacked up right now? What would be like a tool that you would offer? Like, just let's say someone's really, you know, there's some stressful energies going on in the planet right now. Because sometimes it's like, if someone says like, we need our nervous system's relaxed, and their nervous system is not relaxed, it can almost make you feel more stressed. So we want to make sure that people know that it's okay to not be relaxed right now and have some tools.
Yes, I can relate, because this is really a challenging time. And I also am having to use all of my tools and all of my years of priming my own nervous system to be able to handle this. And some of the two of my big main suggestions right now, one is that, like, I know that this was also discussed in some of these talks already, that we must allow ourselves to feel all of it in order to, until the feeling doesn't need to be felt anymore. And so pushing it away isn't going to help. So the very first thing to do is to go, whoa, I'm feeling so jacked right now, and come right back to the breath. And I really like this breath, Shezza. Maybe you use this breath too. It's kind, I think it is an orgasmic breath, and it's kind of like the feelings are there, so it's like breathing through, like through your own body, like this. And 2 or 3 of these breaths will start to move this energy, because the energies are so powerful on the planet right now, and it isn't even all our own. It's we're all feeling everything, and it can, like, I've noticed that in myself, it gets jammed up. Like in the morning, when I first wake up in the morning, I'm like, whoa, I'm really feeling congested. And so I'll start breathing like that, and like your meditation this morning, anything to move the energy. Just get the energy and the breath moving. And even 3 deep breaths, deep belly breaths, are miraculous to begin to deal with it. And then say these words: I I invoke my higher self to download and fill my entire body from my toes to my crown with the light of my higher self. Because that will start to inform your human awareness, just exactly what's right for you in the language and in the way that your own awareness can understand.
I love that.
That works again and again. And unless you really try it, you won't get a chance, but it's so simple. And then third, can I add one more third thing?
Honey, please.
Yeah, my third thing is that really helps to ground and anchor the nervous system is salt. It's like the superfood of superfoods. And I don't want to go into a, like deep explanation about it, but I just want to say, and I can post even in the comments below, 1 or 2 sources of the salt that I'm talking about, because our nervous system runs on 2 things: salt, and because of the ionic charge of salt within salt, and healthy fats. So if you haven't ever heard of that before and you haven't even begun, it can be so soothing and nourishing to put a teaspoon of the right type of salt into a cup of warm water every morning. It begins to just soothe your nervous system and your cells and your electromagnetic field in miraculous ways.
And doesn't it also, like, it takes some of the toxins out of flushes out?
It does everything like that. It brings water into the cell, so it hydrates the intracellular. The innate intelligence of your body, because I think a lot of us don't really realize how incredibly intelligent our body is, because we're kind of being programmed to not trust our bodies and not think our bodies know what to do anymore.
Or it's kind of just like this object we're carrying around.
Yeah. When actually, when we plug into the environment through our body to carry the light of our soul, our spirit, and our awareness into the world, then it's a game changer. Everything changes. When we suddenly say, oh my gosh, I love the incredible technology of this precious human body. Show me more, teach me more, guide me to what you need so that I can help you plug in your circuitry to the field. And what salt also does is it strengthens your auric field, and it makes you really immune to all of the other radiations that we're getting bombarded with. So it really helps to get into our
helps with like EMFs and like 5G coming. And
that's right. Thank you.
Amazing. That's powerful. Everyone get some salt. Please let us know where the best sources.
I will. If there was just one thing, that's my first number one. And I've seen it work miraculous.
Incredible. Yeah, that's incredible. And I also like the practice of just being in our yoni or our lingam, just being in that pleasure center throughout the day. And I really like the practice of squeezing the muscles to bring back into the body, into the pleasure, into the empowerment, into the
cultivate that. That is the sublime energy of creative life force energy that can then be transmuted through the energy centers by pumping it all around into everything we need to manifest abundance in our life and health. Like, it's very healing energy. So the more you do it, it doesn't just disperse, it builds up, and we cultivate it. And then when you bring that into partnership, then it's next level. But that is the energy of love. That is the energy of bliss. That is the energy of light. It is all right here within us, right hiding in plain sight.
So beautiful. And I still have this vision of us going to this magical in June. If it's gonna, I think we'll be back to normal in June, and we're gonna go to this beautiful temple in Santa Cruz, which is still on my list.
It is. Oh, you know what? That has temporarily been canceled.
I'm not surprised. I think everything 2020 is canceled. Well, someday I would love to go. And
honey, I will go all over the planet with you. Let's do it. Like all the temples and the earth temples and the sacred, yummy, ecstatic containers. Let's just like plant the seeds of ecstasy all over the planet.
I think that's what I've kind of been doing, and I was on my road to doing, and now rather than doing it all over the planet, I've been like somehow grounded in Kansas City, which is the most bizarre place I would have ever imagined myself to spend a couple of months, but it's perfect. I'm so happy here with amazing beings of like the juiciest, yummiest.
Right on. Dorothy in Kansas.
Yeah, I'm like Dorothy in Kansas right now.
Oh, wow.
So anyways, like everything is just perfectly unfolding. And I think that's a really important teaching. Also, one of the tantric teachings of just like allowing, you know, we're in the right place, we're in the right time, really telling our nervous system, reminding our nervous system of this like perfection that we can trust, and just keep coming back to that light that is guiding us into the perfect situations and the perfect.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, that is the essence of Tantra, as I understand it, is that we become so content in the knowing that everything is happening for us and that everything is perfect. And we're not so focused heavily on material reality. We're seeing through material reality so we can relax and allow that magnetic energy of our body to be blazing pretty much. And then what happens is that all that comes through our awareness is naturally transmuted into divine bliss. So even if we're aware of negative things happening on the planet, it's transmuted through our body, which is actually blazing with divinity, sovereign divinity.
And then we really are radiating the real compassion, not the kind of like tortured, the world is tortured, but more just like the empowered compassion of just like life.
Right. That's what I meant when I said in the beginning about what we align with. Because if we're aligning with like being an embodiment and a vessel of divine love and compassion and ecstatic bliss and activating our light body and our diamond light body, then anything that's passing through us is being transmuted through our heart center into that energy and flowing into the world of form and blessing and making a difference. We don't have to actually do anything. It's by being in that magnetic aspect of our body embodiment that is naturally doing that because we set that. We set it that way. Yeah.
Right. Yes. And I just want to touch this for one moment on like, because there's almost a sort of feeling that we should be like really worried or scared, or like I've even had a couple of people come to me and tell me that people were shaming them for being too happy at this time. Like it's almost like we shouldn't be enjoying ourselves. And I say just keep coming back, and that natural joy of our being just begins to radiate, and shine on the world. So getting caught up in all the stories is not what the world needs. What the world really needs is for us to be in our bodies, in the light, and finding that and feeling whatever we're feeling.
Yes, feel all of our human feelings. And I mean, it's really true. Focus on what we want.
Yes.
Not on what we don't want.
Totally. Oh my God. Yes, please. Yes, please.
And so people are going to feel that, because that's a 2,000+ year old paradigm, to feel guilt, to feel shame. There's all kinds of old belief structures and ancestral belief structures that are clearing from the collective right now. So we have to be in our own sovereign power enough that when people come up to us that way, we are able to reflect back, I get it, but not be not get into that codependent thing of, don't get into that of like compromising your own bliss. Of course we can be in our ecstatic bliss right now. Yes. We don't have to we don't have to go too crazy, but I mean, it is a subtle, cultivated, steady, even flowing bliss that's always, it's like a golden hum, always radiating from our embodiment. It might bring up some shit for people, but that's good.
Well, I'm definitely feeling the embodied bliss all the way over here in Kansas City.
Nice.
And really, loving this time and loving this talk with you, and just loving you so much. And can't wait to see you whenever the time is right. And thank you so much for being here, sharing your magic, sharing this woman has been doing deep practices for many, many, many years, and it just radiates out of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so, so much for this opportunity. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Okay, love you all, and see you at
love you all.
Pacific.
So much love.
Yes, and see you all at 1 o'clock with Trevor. It's going to be amazing as well. Thank you, Dechen.
Thank you.